Hey everyone, welcome back. It's another edition of the Pick Six. I'm your host, Mike Wobschall at TCO Performance Center. 2018 Verizon Vikings training camp off and running. Thanks for tuning in to check out our content. Let's get to work and answer some of your questions. The first one comes from Nick. We haven't heard anything on Trae Waynes. How's he been looking in minicamp and training camp? Well, Nick, not surprised you haven't heard much from Trae Waynes. The guy is quiet and he likes to work hard and he likes football, and that's about it. But that's a good thing for head coach Mike Zimmer and the football team. Trae Waynes going into his fourth season, a really good 2017 season for Trae Waynes. Can't wait to watch him in 2018. I think he's looked good in the offseason program and he's looked good here at training camp. It's fun to have a really good pair of receivers in Diggs and Thielen going against a really good pair of corners in Waynes and Rhodes at practice. It's going to be fun to watch the rest of training camp. Question number 2 comes from Jim. I really hope Elflein is able to start the season. What does your gut tell you since you are there? Well, Jim, you never know with injured players, but head coach Mike Zimmer did address the Pat Elflein situation at the beginning of training camp, and you didn't sense any panic from the head coach. So I think the team is optimistic about Pat. But here's the silver lining when it comes to injuries is the coaches get to take a look at other rotations and combinations along the offensive line. That's going to help the team as they try and figure out who the best starting 5 are and who the best backups and reserves are. Love the way the offensive line looks, and now that the pads are on at training camp, we're going to get an even better evaluation of the offensive and defensive lines. The next question comes from Curtis in Pennsylvania. I think 2 undrafted players make the team, Holton Hill and Rock Thomas. Brandon Zylstra will too. Well, Curtis, time will tell. We'll watch those guys during training camp and we'll watch them in the preseason games, and then the coaches and scouts will make the decision at the end of August. The good news is the Vikings have a lot of talent on the roster, and it's not just draft picks, it's some of those undrafted players too. And this is a team that's got a good history with undrafted players. John Randall, Hall of Famer, he was an undrafted player, and look at the roster right now. Marcus Sherrills, Adam Thielen, Eric Wilson, GM Rick Spielman, his scouts, and the Vikings coaches do a great job of finding talent no matter what the avenue. Our next question comes from John. With the strength of the defensive line, I see teams having to do a lot of short, quick release passes. I think the slot corner and linebacker coverage skills will be critical. Do you agree? I do, John, and we've seen this before in recent history with the Minnesota Vikings. Remember those 2007, 8, and 9 Vikings with Jared Allen and Kevin Williams? They had a really good defensive line as well, and teams were forced into the quick game. That's why Antoine Winfield was so key. Now with the Vikings, the slot cornerback position, going to be a fun competition to watch here in training camp, and the Vikings already have linebackers who are really good in coverage. Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks, very athletic linebackers who can move and cover. It's going to be a key part of the defense in 2018. The next question comes from Chris. Which Vikings players with limited playing time in 2017 will make a significant impact in 2018? Another fun thing to watch here in training camp is young players, first and second year players, trying to develop and make a step forward in 2018. How about defensive tackle Jaleel Johnson, playing on the inside of the Vikings defensive line, learning behind Sheldon Richardson and Linval Joseph? That's a good situation for the former Iowa player. Stacy Coley, wide receiver out of the University of Miami, coming into his second year. When he's healthy, he's looked really good out on the practice field. He's got a chance to contribute in 2018. Don't forget about guys like Ben Gideon and Danny Isadora from last year's draft class, trying to find a way to help this team in 2018. The final question comes from Bowen in the United Kingdom. If you were a betting man, would you say Kirk Cousins will take us to the Super Bowl this season? Without a doubt. Well, that's the goal. Everyone is trying to get to the championship game. Yeah, I think Kirk Cousins has the ability to help this team get there. Remember though, it's not about Kirk Cousins, it's about the team. It's about playing well around the quarterback, and it's about the quarterback elevating the play of those around him. But more importantly, what I love about this team is they're not looking at the big picture. They are focusing on things one day at a time. There's no Super Bowl talk here. There's only talk about having a good practice and getting better every single day. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Pick Six. Thanks for sending in your questions, and thanks for watching. We'll have another Pick Six next week, so make sure you send your questions in to the email address at the bottom of the screen. Maybe we'll see you next week.